So the fact that you click on this video is probably because you are trying to build something, you've already built something, or you are thinking, of taking some kind of unconventional step, or you are in process of building something that consequences are already catching up to you and you're asking questions. Welcome, you're actually in the right place. What I'm about to share is you is from 2 freaking years of choosing to follow an unconventional path and randomly saying goodbye to the things that guarantee security. And why? Like, why have I done this? I think it's because of the pursuit of happiness. That's why I chose this path. So, am I there yet? No, I'm not there yet. But I've learned and I am still learning a shit ton of things. Still learning a lot. One of the reasons why the tell is just that is because how long it is. One of the reasons why we take it to just start is because at this point, right, when you've not started or you've not done something, you have one advantage over every other person that has started. And the advantage you have is being naive. I know it's crazy to say this. I know people might look at me very to say this, but being naive is a great advantage. It's a great advantage when you're trying to do something new or something you've not done before. There's this confidence that comes with being naive. And my friend, if by the time you lose it, the next phase of the test is actually asking if you really want this or not. And I think that's the point most people checking out. When you lost the edge that they have, and the edge they have is being naive. When they are no longer naive, I think that's when people checking out. When it's clear that, it's definitely not when I told you boys. I think that's where, I know I've seen a couple of people fall off. Alright? That's where people actually miss it. That's the way people will actually drop off the ladder. To further drive my points home, to further make you understand what I'm trying to say is this. So I can remember when it was not just me, it was our two other friends trying to make our first ever short film. Mind you, before then, I made a couple of microfilms, one scene stuff that didn't really require so much effort, so much background, but so much planning. It's just a spark and a shot here. Boom. I made like a couple of things like that. 1, 2, 3. And after making those 3 microfilms, in my mind and in our minds, especially in my mind, because I remember being like the one that told it, seeing that, yeah, I can do this, and they offered their support. In my mind, I was ready. I was naive. I thought being able to, achieve shallow depth of field with the camera. I'm sorry for those who are filmmaking people. I'm just trying to use this for that drive. I'll be like, you will get there, just chill. Just stay in your ears. So I thought because I already know how to use a camera, I can achieve shallow depth of field, and I can, add sound. I know how to add sound to audio and, make a couple of effects and, understand a deal about sound, and, yada, yada, yada. I was good to go. And boom, a friend wrote me a script, and one of them was acting about a couple of actors to join the team, and we both, go. And we attempted to make the short film. Anyway, after all said and done, it failed. That stuff never saw the light of day, and failure is me, right? I don't know how other people in the group was feeling, because all fingers pointed at me as at that point. So I think I was the only one feeling like this. Failure hit me, and one of the voices I started hearing in my ear was, you're not good enough. It's just hard to do this and maybe try other things. Right? I said one of the voices, there's a lot of voices in my head. It was a dark time for me. And I'm glad that I'm still here today, still trying to do stuff in pursuit of happiness. Some people, after that kind of situation, would have given up, right? It would have like just left it. I was able to make a couple of things I made because I was naive. I had not experienced failure, and that was my first experience with failure out of passion, out of making art, but making art. And I think that was the level that was a level that every other person has to pass through. I think that's the level of for those that are not started, that's the level that I have to pass through. The level of being naive. It's a gift, but you lose it. Probably at special talent. I'm not saying they're non-geniuses. Also, we could have people that will get there through, right? But I have people that will get there through the belief process. That way will not make, some silly kind of mistakes that a rookie would make. And that brings me like to the seventh thing that nobody tells you. Nobody tells you that if you're trying to go on to do something, you need a mentor. Especially for us who have passion. And, passion comes to the great belief in self. A great belief in self, is usually what's behind. It's usually the car that's driving the passion. So most times you feel like, nah, I can't do more than that. So we just go in as rookies, take our first dive, and by the time we get into the water, we find that I actually can't swim. So that's one thing I think anybody's trying to do something new. Everybody's already doing stuff and, want to grow, look for someone to look up to, someone to guide you through a day, someone that has the time to just explain to you that, okay, this is what you've had to do. This how you have to do, these are the mistakes I had made, and please to learn it this each stage, right? You need your big brother, use case, you need people. The third thing is that you need a structure. There has to be a structure. There has to be a structure. Whatever you're trying to do, there's a way to get there. And if you do not start, you are not going to have that structure. The only way you can get proper structure is by understanding yourself, your results, how you want to be perceived, and what you want to stand for in the long run. And if you not start, there's no way that structure is going to come about. You have to really understand the rule. You have to understand the industry you're working around. You have to understand, the ins and outs, and then you can create the structure. And that's why I always say to just start, because by the time you start, you'll be able to understand what you're trying to do the most there. And now you can create a structure around, what you're trying to do. By the time you have the structure in place, the next thing you're going to need is discipline. You have to always shape for your stuff, because take it that everybody is trying to aim for that same thing you're aiming for. And these days, the era we're in, because of how fast things are moving, we have to make sure so that you have to reduce the chances of being that person. So when you've gotten through all this stage of, understanding yourself, discipline, structure, how do you keep going? How do you manage burnout? Remember, fear is part of the process. And there's sort of a fear that's fueling you. You have to understand how to use fear to your greatest advantage. So when you're exhausted, your naive state, when you're exhausted, your beginner's luck, and you're now into the making your mistakes, trying everything that you think should work, there's only one thing that have let push you, is the fear. The fear is ready to throw you. At some point, there's the fear of missing out. I think that's what pushes all of us to say even start in the first place. Because you might imagine yourself years to come, there are no papers you want to be, and you be like, man, I just have to start. But when we are done exhausting fear of missing out, and we are now into the right, there's another fear that still pushes you. To be honest, at this point, it's not like I have everything in check. I am seen as scared as baby. But it's a different type of fear, and I am channeling it to guide me. So the fear of not finishing is what has been pushing me. a fear of not coming out on the other end, a success is what have pushing me. And definitely you're going to get that places. Definitely we're going to get that place different level. And if you don't start, you're definitely not going to get to that place. Do you understand? You're definitely going to get to that place. So whatever it is, whatever stage it is that you are in your process, if you're just at the start, if you're about to start, if you're about to start, just know that here is my process. I'm still scared. Please do be scared because I'm too scared. I'm not saying I'm that important to be able to request. I always like to be as confident as I can, but I understand that a lot of people in this process on this journey, and I just have to, share my experiences so that you do not feel those, because before I equally started, I had people who share their experiences that, helped me care of my stomach. From watching Australia, from watching video videos on YouTube to, chasing happiness the way I know also. And I also wish that you find happiness in your journey and whatever it is that you want to be. Pray you find happiness that you search for. I hope to see you on the other side of success. I'm say success already, right? Peace. See.